Good morning or good evening or good people, wherever you are. It's all greetings and all good vibes here. So we're back again with another market outlook for week 10, I think, if I'm not wrong, week 10 of 2020, which will begin on the 7th of March up until the 11th of March. So we're going to start on dollar index, just check how the market is looking like and what you could possibly be looking for or expecting or anticipating with regards to dollar as a whole. So we're going to start on daily just to see what the market is trying to give us, or what the market will be giving us, right? We'll see that on daily we're still kind of bullish and very bullish at the way we're rejecting our recent high, and twice in fact we rejected that high 2 times. So we could either see the price kind of dropping or just consolidating for quite some time. But if we do break to the upside, then I anticipate that would be moving to the next one, which is 1 2 3 6 1. That could be just 1 2 3 6 1 2 3 5 9, yeah. So that's what we're currently seeing, but we're just gonna move on 4 hours and kind of see what is 4 hours showing us. And but daily we're just in between 2 levels, so you know how it goes. We're just moving and creating levels here on that daily level, which also just make them to be different more than other levels, right? And then you will see that as levels are just connect to wicks and bodies, right? I do not really go about just focusing on the body only, but the line stays on the body and the rectangle fills the wick to the body. And then we have this top one that you could also think it is very important for us to note, but we'll just fix them as we go down the trend lines. So we go in 4 hours. You see that on 4 hours we kind of also rejecting this level, and you could potentially see price either coming to this zone, either to break it or to just retest. But the only thing I want to see is price moving, not just staying where it is right now, right? This is most probably our high low, and you can see that we're in a bullish type of momentum. If I want to, I can just bring it here and just make it one line, but I think it is okay where it is for daily purposes, right? And then even this one, it is okay where it is, but this is for just only dollar index. Maybe the other ones I might just decide that we're just going to change them and switch around. So this one could potentially see this coming there, or even better, we could just see price breaking below and push pushing to the nearest daily level. And if we also can't find support there, then we could potentially see price breaking to the downside and continuing to the next level, which is 1 to 100. And then the first pair that you're going to be going for is CAD JPY. CAD JPY indeed moved, and let's say, I wouldn't say best, but it gave us what we anticipated and just kept on showing price movement. So we're also just starting with highs and lows on daily, just to understand where the potential strong levels are. As you can see, they have been stopping the market for quite some time, or that's where the market has been turning before it moved in the opposite direction. So this was where the market turned when it was going upside. This also was the way the market turned when it was going to the upside. In the next one, you will see that this is also, as you can see, they're very visible. I wouldn't have to explain as to this is where the market turned before it went to the downside. and also just here we are getting a lot of multiple rejections, which is, I think, 4 or 5 on a daily perspective, meaning that as we go down the time frames, we'll see that it becomes more rejections and more is better. But sometimes, to some certain extent, the more level is rejected, it could somehow be telling also a bit weak. So, but then you will see as time goes as to how that works out. As you can see, we were able to just reject, and also reject here. And this was the reject that we had last week before we came down here. So another level that you currently be having, I'd also just say this is the one where I would also suggest that we are in a consolidation on a 4-hour perspective up until we break below and just go downside. So this is 4 hours. You will also see that we have a bit of a level just here, which is our higher low. As price was going to the upside, you can see that we somehow created a bit of a trend, and this is where you will see that this was our high low, our higher high, and price came back to just retest our higher low, and you could potentially see price rejecting, as you have seen right now, that price rejected here. Could potentially be seeing price just creating a bit of a trend from here, just continuing to the upside, and yeah, that's what you could potentially see. But for now, on 4 hours, it's not enough for us to just say this is where we're gonna enter if that happens and so forth. But the best thing we can do is to know that where and how the 4 hours is looking like. And then for 1 hour, I'm just gonna fix this right now. For 1 hour, as you can see, we're kind of having a bit of a correction. Not a correction, I meant to say a bit of a fake out right here. We had a bit of a fake out, and price came back inside the level that we have just created, and also you see that it is respecting this kind of level. So for the next week, it's gonna be maybe, I don't think we'll be having a lot of movement, but you could potentially see something like this where price is just shooting to the upside. I would love to see price giving a bit of trend before we even think of entering. If we can see those high highs and high lows, then we could potentially find entry in it. But if it breaks below this, we could potentially see it coming to 89485. But that is not enough for me to take a trade. I think it's like 50 pips. But if the stop loss becomes a bit low like this, then I will consider taking it, because then now that means we are indeed completing this setup to say that we are going to hit the final take profit, which is just here. But if we don't, then we could potentially see price moving to the upside. Then you could go to like 30 minutes or a bit of a lower time frame, and maybe you could be having something like this, and you would love to see price breaking upside and finding a bit of a higher low. So like this, finding a bit of a higher low, then you will look for an entry just above this level and your stop loss just below this level. Take profit would be and could possibly be just up there. But yeah, this is where we are with CAD JPY. We move to GBP JPY. Also start on daily, and with this one, I'm going to do things a bit differently. I'm going to show you this level. I'm also going to show you this level, and from there it's the top one, this one, and then it's this one. Right, I'm just gonna move this one because it looks like we somehow retested it right there. So from there, I cannot put this higher lows as they have been broken, but the best thing I can do is this one, put this one, and anticipate that we might just be finding support in it, And a disclaimer, euro has been bearish for the past, I think, couple of weeks, and we've seen it dropping. Almost all euro pairs were dropping like mad. So we could potentially trade. We need to trade this cautiously or with caution, meaning that now we need to also consider the fact that it might continue to the downside instead of just moving to the upside, and that is also okay with it, right? Because now with the market, what we want to do is we don't want too many setups, but we just want to understand that the market can just break on the downside and continue down when you were anticipating it to just break on the upside and continue up. So yeah, so daily, we're just marking our daily levels just to see where the market could potentially turn, or which levels we could use as our take profits if the market decides to move in our direction. So I'm just gonna also fix this one, just make it smaller. And as I said to you, that there are certain cases whereby I will just fix the trend lines, right? Not the trend lines, the levels I meant to say. So this is our 4-hour level. We just mark almost all of them, or 4-hour lower highs. We have a couple of them, as you have seen, where the market changed direction before. And I think we also have this and that. But for now, we just want to see if there is structure on 4 hours before we could consider anything else. So we have a bit of a descending channel type of nature, but on the downside it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not going to be focusing on this, just going to be looking at the market and wait to see if we're going to also have a bit of a trend, just trying to move to the upside, right? We could potentially see something like this because we have this as a support, and we have a bit of a level that where the market trend. Because also I don't think on 1 hour there's anything that we could potentially use. So for H, we're going to be just standing here. I know this week is not as exciting. This upcoming week is not as exciting as the previous ones, but this is what the market always does. It will just move in a very fast-paced momentum, and then now it will just correct and just take a breather or breathe before it continues moving. So we could potentially see some consolidations and all of that before the market just starts giving us a bit of momentum. So we move to the next one, which is GBP JPY. You will see that most of these JPY pairs are the same. So this one, we had a bit of consolidating. In fact, say we are consolidating between these two levels, but then there was this level which the price broke, and you can see that we could be potentially just continuing to the downside up until we either get to the bottom one, which is just this one, or the one that we'll draw right now, which is just right. Just making them levels again, just to see how we could potentially how they affect the entire market structure. And then we move to 4 hours, trying to see what the market did and how it could potentially just continue with the movement. Right. This is a 4H lower high, and yeah, this is a 4H lower high. We could potentially see price coming to correct up until today before it drops to the downside, or we could just see price continue to the downside. This is what I want us to consider. We need to consider the fact that this move hasn't been completed to the last point, right? Now I think I also want us to consider the fact that this could potentially also be working against the trend that we're currently starting, or that we started. So we have a bit of this. Also, just as soon as I fix it with the top one, I'll just try and see how I can go about doing this. So seeing a bit of falling channel, but yeah, there's not much. There's really not much in the market for us to be looking forward to. So we're just waiting. It's a waiting game to see what the market could potentially do. So this could potentially be happening, but if it doesn't, then we'll continue with the waiting game. I think also with GBP USD, it's also a waiting game. Just start with my daily. As you can see, we potentially, I think we have reached the support level. We have reached the support level. We could potentially see price moving to the upside, but the only thing we want to see is price developing, rather than just to hope that it will move to the upside. So the only thing I will do is just to wait, as I've said also with the previous signal, or the previous analysis, that we'll just wait and see how the price will decide to play out. Because yeah, I think a moment after NFP, a lot of prices or a lot of pays are just affected, so they will just need to recover before we could see a continuation of the trend. So daily is what we currently be looking at, and then 4 hour we still have these bit of zones. Also they correspond with our 4 hour lower highs, so we could see price coming up here to the 4 hour lower high and either dropping or just breaking to the upside and moving to the next highs, which is the 3600 or 3700. So those are the levels that you could potentially see the market moving towards. There's nothing that even the 1 hour is saying, except for the fact that we had a bit of a drop. And yeah, USD CAD, I'm gonna start also on daily, just try and see what is it that the market might just give us. So we have this as a low, we have this as a low, we have that as potential the recent high, not a higher high, the recent high. Maybe the price could break to the upside to hit here, or what you could see, maybe potentially the price could break to continue to the downside. So those are just the highs that you currently have, and create them and make them levels. And let's move to 4H. You see how the market is looking like. We had a bit of a 4 hour lower high, so I'll just fix this and you'll see what I'm currently looking at. So when price was moving to the downside, we had this as a high, if I'm not wrong. This is a high, this is a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, right? That's what we potentially had. Let me just reset this to default. Right, we had those as lower highs. And the recent lower high, which is just here, price tried to break above from it, but it failed. But you can see we had a bit of a break above and we came back in. So now what is it that you could potentially see? So if I go back to my 4 hours and just zoom out, go to my I'm already on my 4 hours, and I just need to zoom out and just see what the market could potentially be showing us. So we had a bit of this, and that also just stopped midway. And then I'd say For the top part, we started somewhere a bit up here, and we had a bit of this, right? So this was what we had, I think, last week, and we anticipated that the market would come back down here, but then it did move to the downside up until a certain level. But for now, we just want to see what is it that you could potentially be looking at, just to see if you could continue to the downside. So 1 hour, yeah, so you can see that we failed to break to the upside, came back in. Most probably I would have taken that by let me just move this to make it a 4H. I would have taken a buy. Unfortunately, I would have taken a buy with my stop loss just below here, so which is now the higher low that I've been looking for if price can break below it, so that you can continue with downside momentum. So most probably you could be seeing something like this, where price would come back and continue to the downside. But for now, as I said, we're just waiting. So if we break to the upside and break above this, then just know that the trend has indeed changed, and we have broken above our 4-hour, broken and closed above our 4-hour lower high. So we could potentially see market just moving to the upside and just creating highs and higher highs. And yeah, but if we don't, then we could potentially see price going down and creating lows and lower lows. So there's nothing that I can say I'm seeing on that is tradable right now on also USD CAD, but we just have to wait. ZAR, USD ZAR also start on 1 hour. This one could potentially see more of the downward movement more than anything, but let's also start and do the way we go about doing things. So the highest high is there, then we had lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and this is the recent lower high, this is the recent lower low, goes with this, so might as well. Then we have this, then we have that. Let's not just make it messy, let's just move to 4H. Just look at 4H the way it is. You can see that we better correcting a bit, and also the 4H or the daily lower high has been retested, right? From here, what is it that we would love to see? So if we are indeed dropping to the downside, let me fix those levels. If we are indeed dropping to the downside, I would love to see price breaking below this 4H level. I wouldn't say a higher low or lower high or high or low, but this is a recent level. As it happens when the price is really congested in between two levels and there's not much of trend, but what we have is whips. Yeah, just wicks, I meant to say. So we have wicks, and then I think on 4 hour we're done. That's the level I'd love to see price breaking before I can confirm that we continue to the downside. But maybe 1H might tell us a bit of a different story. Just like USD CAD, we have a bit of a this is a 1 hour lower high that has been this is a fake out, so price broke above and came back in. So for me, I think even when the market just opens, I can look to buy to sell based on 4H. So what is it that I'm seeing is this higher low that has been broken, and most probably if I do find a trade below this level that has been broken and have my lower high somewhere or my stop loss somewhere, they take profit just here, which is 1:2.72, and I think that's where we stop. Nothing more, nothing less. And thank you. Please support us by subscribing to the channel, sharing it, and also liking the video, and also just going to TheAnonymousFX on